OK, Joe, we're going to turn our attention to England. We've got a lot of magnets in a minute. You're going to explain what we're doing. But obviously, England drew 1-1 last night.
What a game,
to Uruguay. I was there. And there's been a lot of talk. Stay positive, Josie. Come on. There's been a lot of talk about the squad. It was interesting, wasn't it? Because he picked 35-man squad, split into two, with 11 of those players joining up for the second game against Japan on Tuesday. It did get a lot of people talking on socials, so we thought we'd give Ollie a bit of a task, because I think he's well placed for this task, given the fact that he talks about England on his channel.
You've got this on your own strand, basically, haven't you, on the plane?
Yeah,
so you're going to be building out your full 26-man squad as things stand today for the World Cup. Let's start with the goalkeepers, shall we?
Yeah, I think the goalkeepers more or less pick themselves. Pickford, obviously, number one.
Nailed on.
No doubt.
Dean Henderson, I think, is clear number two.
Yeah.
And I think Trafford as the last one. I thought he was actually quite good yesterday. I know not much to do, but with the ball at his feet in particular, I think if you look to the future, he's the obvious choice. Ramsdale and Pope obviously have been decent for England before, but I don't really see much value in taking them. So
OK, so obviously what we're doing, the ones that go, we stick on the plane, and the ones that you think will stay at home will stick on the home magnet. God. So there are your three. Pickford is number one. Trafford. Flav, we're going to get your thoughts as well. You might need to help out with the placement.
Flav, you're going to be up there like Carol Vorderman.
Worth pointing out as well, Jason Steele is the quote is on a trial basis to see if he would come in a support capacity.
Yeah.
We've seen
Tom
Heaton do that in the past. So that's what you've gone with. OK. Let's move on to the big chat about the right-back situation.
Lots of debate.
Firstly, Ben White, what do you make of that situation? Obviously not played for a while, hasn't featured for Arsenal. Played last night, scored, then gave away the penalty, a few boos. Eventful night all round.
Very.
Were you surprised he was back in the squad? Do you think he should be? What's your thoughts?
I was a bit surprised from a football standpoint. I know he's obviously really good, but he's not done that much for Arsenal this season. I think in terms of what's happened in the past, if they're willing to look past obviously what happened in Qatar, then I don't see any reason why he can't be back in the squad. You want players who want to play for England, and I think it's been a little bit overblown, him, like leaving the camp. I don't think it's maybe as big a deal as people make it out to be. I still wouldn't take him, I don't think, to the World Cup, but that's nothing to do with what's happened before. I think just from a...
Because there's other players in front of him.
Exactly. I think the right-back position is one we're pretty
Let's talk about it in
in
general then, because you've got... Let's have a look at the menu, the magnets that you've got. So Ben White's at home for you.
Yeah, I'll put him there now. I think Reece James obviously goes.
He's nailed on, isn't he?
Does Reece James start? I was just about to say, does he start for you if everyone's fit?
I think so. I think just the quality he has. Also, one thing I really value in players for England is versatility in terms of whatever the game state, can they contribute? I think Reece James is a brilliant defender, and going forward with the ball at his feet, he's outstanding. So for me, he's clear first choice.
The next magnet is obviously a big talking point because not in the squad. Flav, what did you make of the fact that there's no Trent in this current squad?
Crazy to me. I know that he's had trouble at Real Madrid, but in terms of just talent and what he can do going forward with the ball, how he can't be considered. It may be that he will end up going on the plane, but I think it's crazy that he wasn't involved at all.
I get why he's not. I agree, talent-wise, he's clearly in the best 26 England players in the world, but profiles is so important, and I think he flourishes in systems that work for him, and is it worth sacrificing potentially other things around the pitch for Trent when you've got Reece James, who is not much worse than him, I don't think, of the ball. Trent's got a better passing range. And also, look, obviously, under Southgate, he didn't get much of a chance, but he hasn't got a catalogue of England performances to fall back on. I do think that matters. Obviously, he's been brilliant for Liverpool, Real Madrid, he's getting better. But if you've not had the evidence that you can do it for England, I understand why Tuchel wouldn't pick him, especially when you've got players like James and even like Livramento, who are just, I think they're just safer options.
Interesting quotes, actually, wasn't it?
You'd keep him at home as well, would you?
I think he will.
Wow.
I think he will.
Are you keeping Trent at home?
I don't know.
This is what you would do.
Well, so what you would do. This is your...
Not what Tuchel will. This is you.
You know what? I think as someone just have off the bench, maybe he could go. But this is what I mean. My squad changes every 5 minutes. You ask me the same question in 5 minutes. Maybe we'll put him in. Let's give him a go.
Well, it's interesting quotes because at his initial press conference for the squad, Tuchel said players like Livramento, Spence and Kwanzaa offered slightly different profiles to Trent. And interestingly, Ezri Konsa has started most at right-back under Thomas Tuchel. So there's a lot of chopping and changing here in the right-back area, and there's a lot of good players that we have available. So let's talk about the others. And interestingly, you said you like versatility in a previous answer.
Very much so.
Both of these are very versatile players. Does that help their cause, do you think, the fact that the likes of Spence can play both full-back positions?
Definitely. I'm a big fan of both of these. I don't think both of them will go, but I really like Livramento and Spence. I'd take Livramento, just because I think he's got a brighter future. And that's unfortunate for Spence, because Spence has been really good for England. And I do think, considering James's injury record, it would be good to have someone who is reliable back up there.
Okay.
So
I've
3
already
right
changed the
backs
squad. I didn't have
already.
to do it originally. Now
You've already changed?
I've been a bit peer pressured straight away.
Flav, just your quick take on that with the right-back situation?
Yeah, no, I mean, look, we've got an abundance of talent there, and Reece James and Trent are for 1 and 2 for me, but Jed Spence at left-back is super comfortable, so I probably would have swapped Livramento out for Jed Spence because Spurs, but
yeah,
it's
fair
fine.
enough. Spurs, yeah. Livramento was named in the team of the tournament at the Under-21 Euros last year, so
Yeah,
he's
he's
got
brilliant.
experience doing it at the younger level for England. Let's go on to... Should we do centre-backs now? So who are the nailed-on ones? I presume you're going to put Gahey as your nailed-on...
Yep.
Okay.
Who are
Gahey.
your starting two if everyone's fit out of interest?
I think it's these two, Gahey and Concert, at the moment. Again, I just think they're very well-rounded centre-backs. They've done it really well for England. I think they've also got quite a lot of experience at the top level. I think Gahey, whilst I didn't want him to leave Palace, I think him going to City is actually really good for his England career, because I think maybe on paper, if you've got a Villa and a Palace centre-back, it looks like maybe they lack a little bit of experience at the top level, which I don't think that's an issue anymore. So I'd definitely have those two on the plane.
You know how everyone's talking about, obviously, an injury to Kane and Rice would be catastrophic. I'd put Gahey in that.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think he's so crucial that he's fully fit, given the fact that there's a lot of players potential available in that position, and it's not an area we're blessed with when you think of injuries and things like that, like John Stones. Because for me, John Stones, unbelievable player, but is he a player with regards to injuries and lack of game time? Because surely if Stones is playing, he's on the plane.
Yeah, well,
He's been one of England's best centre-backs for years.
I always had Stones as nailed on, but I really like Maguire as an option. I would definitely put Maguire on the plane. I think what he's done for England before, his form for Man United recently, I think he's really valuable, especially when a team is sat in. I think the way he can progress the ball, passing-wise and ball-wise,
well.
I think he's really good. I always had Stones as like the nailed-on option, but I know Tuchel really likes Dan Burn, and I think Dan Burn being left out of that squad yesterday, along with a bunch of nailed-on starters,
He's in the 11, which is interesting.
is really interesting.
Only 4? You think of only taking 4 centre-backs?
I think so. I don't think we need any more than that.
So are you thinking potentially no John Stones in the squad then?
I would take John Stones.
Yeah.
So I would put him up there, but I think Burn is nailed on to go. I wouldn't take him. I would rather go for Maguire and Stones, but I could see Burn going instead of one of those two.
And what about Quansah and Tomorrow? Just outside?
Yeah, just not quite for me. I think Quansah maybe in the future, obviously still quite young, and Tomori potentially missed the boat. I think that there was a real push for Tomori to be involved in squads previously, but it might be a little bit too late now in his career.
Flav, just quickly on the centre-backs selection.
I think the centre-back's the only part of the England's first team that always just gives me pause for some reason. I know Mark Gay's easily sort of top 5 centre-backs in the league. I just don't see the balance and the comfort. I mean, it's not like, you look at sort of typical centre-back pairings, there's a kind of connection between the two. There's no consistency apart from Konsa and Gay. Maguire's just come back to the fold under Carrick. That's my pause, but they're great defenders individually.
Left-backs?
I think the left-backs more or less pick themselves. Obviously, Livramento is an option. But Lewis Hall and Nico O'Reilly, I think, have been two of the best left-backs
Both had great seasons
in the Premier League at the moment. I feel a bit sorry for Luke Shaw, because I think he has obviously had a really good career for England, and I like him a lot, and it's good to see him playing for Man United regularly, but
It's another interesting
minutes for United this season.
Yeah.
Really, really good for United this season, Luke Shaw.
It's another interesting talking point that as well, because O'Reilly's levels recently have been unbelievable. I know
Yeah.
he's playing in different positions as well. So who do you think will start that left-back position? Because that's a good debate, that one.
I think Lewis Hall would start for me, just because he's more of a traditional left-back. I think O'Reilly's levels have been higher this season, but you watch kind of where he's playing for City. He was often playing as like a number 10, as a left mid. I'm sure he could do a brilliant job at left-back, but I think, again, I think in international football, I like players who just play the role quite traditionally. And I think James and Hall are so balanced as two fullbacks, so they would be my starting fullback pair.
Yeah, I think O'Reilly will definitely go.
Yeah, definitely.
Deep line midfielders then. There's some names that are definitely nailed on here, isn't there?
Declan Rice, Elliot
starters.
Anderson, 100%, they'll both start. I think Anderson, he's been a revelation for England under Tuchel. Even as a Palace fan who wants to see Adam Wharton play every time, I think I mean, even the most ardent of Palace fans couldn't argue against Elliot
I wanted to
Anderson
ask you about
starting.
that, actually, because a lot of the time on the show, we've had the Wharton, Anderson, you've got Kobbie Mainoo coming back in this debate as to who plays with Rice. But even as I know you're a huge Adam Wharton fan, you'd go with Anderson to start that first game.
Yeah, I think he's just a little bit more mobile, a bit more defensively reliable, and he's just done it so consistently for England. There's no reason to change that unless you absolutely have to, which we currently don't.
And it's a nice balance with Rice.
Really well balanced.
Yeah.
Really
You'd
well
take
balanced.
Wharton, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I'd take Wharton. I think mainly as the backup to Anderson as the more deep-lying one, but equally for Palace, he can get in some quite nice pockets further forward. I think the fact he's been in a lot of the squads already under Tuchel counts for a lot as well, and potential-wise, ability-wise, he's got one of the high ceilings, I think, in the whole squad.
Okay.
This is where it gets a bit difficult with the rest of the midfielders. I don't think Alex Scott will go. Again,
unfortunate, because he's had a really good last 10 or 11 games.
yeah.
And that unbeaten run, he's been exceptional.
Yeah, I really like him. And again, really bright future for England. I think same with Archie Gray. I think he was actually a bit unlucky, I think, to not make this squad, especially considering how big it was. And I'd love him to be in the squad in future, super versatile as well, but I don't think he'll go either.
I think he will be playing in the future, like you say, that will get minutes.
Yeah, exactly. And this is where, it gets a bit difficult here, to be honest. I think I'd only want to take
So show us the three we're talking about now, just to camera. So you've got Kobbie
Mainoo,
Jordan
Henderson, and James Garner. Garner was really good
Only
last
one of these three.
Well, I've made room for Trent. That's the issue here. So,
By the way, you can at the end. We do have 26 at the end needs to be on the plane, but you can chop and change as we go along.
I don't think Garner will go. I think he was really good last night.
Yeah.
I saw that Tuchel described him as our mini Valverde.
Yeah.
I just think it's come a little bit late for him in the season, and I think you can't base it off one game. If he went, I'd be happy. I always like players like this getting a chance. Like playing for Everton, a mid-table-ish team, and 25, so he's not. It's not like a teenager. He's kind of made a bit of a late run, and I really like that.
And the season that he's had, he's
been brilliant. He's someone who can cover multiple positions, really good set-piece delivery. I think it's come a little bit late. I don't think someone can really come from nowhere at this time in the season and make it onto the plane.
He's almost done what Anderson did at the start, where he came in, but then Anderson made such an impact in the England squad that he's now ahead of James Garner, probably just because of the lack of England games left before the World Cup.
Yeah, if this happened 6 months ago, then he could well be on the plane, but I think it'll be a little bit late for him. You then basically have ability and impact versus leadership when it comes to Henderson and Mainoo. I find it so difficult to know what to prioritise. I think Henderson off the pitch is just so valuable.
Yeah.
But equally, there are a lot of leaders in that squad already. You look at James, you look at even like Gahey from a young age, Stones and Maguire, Rice, Pickford, Kane, obviously moving forward, Bellingham. Do you really need Henderson as well?
Do you think Tuchel's been justified in including Henderson? Because when he first came in, he was like, what is he doing? Why is he bringing him back? But he's played brilliantly.
Yeah, and he's been good for Brentford this season. I don't want to do him a disservice. He's performed well for them, and I think a lot of people question that signing as well. But Mainoo is a better footballer right now. He has a brighter future for England. I really struggle to separate these two.
I think if you're in like a quarter-final and you need a player to come off the bench, which of these two would you want coming off the bench?
If you're winning it, Henderson. If you're losing, Mainoo.
Yeah, for me as a Manchester United fan, obviously you'd be biased here, but Kobbie's ability to dictate the tempo of the game,
and he has got international experience.
He wouldn't be on. Exactly, he played in the final of the Euros.
Yeah, and you think of the FA Cup final as well.
Yeah,
big moment player, scores big goals in big moments.
Maybe Henderson could go in like the Jason Steele role, but as an outfielder in some
that's the thing.
capacity.
A lot of people talk about what he does off the pitch and the
That's the
leadership
thing.
role, but like as you say, there's a ceiling and the levels that Kobbie can get to.
I originally had both of these in the squad, but I made room for Trent.
So that would only be sort of four of the. Even with just one of that, it'd only be four deep-lying midfielders.
Yeah, this is.
But it's your squad. It's your squad on it.
You know what? I'm gonna backtrack on Trent already. I'm gonna take Trent back out. I'd rather.
Wow.
I think I'd rather have. Don't say wow. I think I'd rather have both of these.
Just to confirm, you're taking Trent out and putting Henderson in.
Well, when you put it like that, it sounds a lot
Henderson
worse,
and Mainoo. Sorry, that's what you're doing.
Yes, I think.
Okay, your list.
I just think Trent's not going to start for England.
Yeah.
I don't think, and whilst, again, his ability is brilliant, but I just haven't seen it enough for England. And I hate to say it because he's, again, on ability, he is as good as anyone up there.
Yeah.
But it's not just just about how good you are.
Hey, so Trent, you've got to put him on the home
board.
Oh, I didn't
Trent,
want to do
he
it.
doesn't even like to put him on the
I'll
board. He
just
knows
throw that back
that
over there.
it's a big...
You can't please everyone with
point.
England, that's the issue.
Okay, the 10s.
Big name left at home.
So Bellingham and Rodgers will definitely go.
Yeah.
For me, Bellingham should start, but Rodgers has been so good for England under Tuchel. I
So
think
your midfield, you do, just to clarify, Anderson, Rice, and then Bellingham in the 10 would be your 3. Okay. Yeah.
I just think you can't leave Bellingham out based on, he's starting every week for Real Madrid when he's fit. He was so good at Euro 2024.
Yeah.
He's just
great
a
player.
must go. I think Gibbs White won't make it. Again, he's good. I've got nothing against Gibbs White, but I think the quality we have in that position is just so high. And I'm not sure he's the same level as kind of match winner as the other players who are competing for that position. So I would have him.
As a player, this is the worst position to be in because the competition for places you've got, Flav, is ridiculous.
Unreal, yeah.
Do you think that, because it's interesting hearing Tuchel's quotes, isn't it, about he's not going to necessarily just take loads of players in the same position. There's going to be a big number 10 that doesn't go, just by the fact that there's so many great players, especially, I mean, you've got Foden, Palmer, Eze, Rodgers, Jude. I mean, it's a position we're stacked in, but they're not all going to go. Who do you think won't end up going?
I think it probably... Oh, you want to take them all, really? If I had to leave one of those behind based on current form, it'd probably be Phil Foden.
So you'd leave Phil Foden? You think Phil Foden
not willingly, but which one has been the least effective?
I would agree with that, I think. I feel sorry for Foden. At the start of the season, I was really impressed with him playing in kind of a bit of a different role for City, but his recent form can't be ignored. I don't think recent club form is everything, but it does make a bit of a difference. But also, again, track record for England, even when he's coming off a Player of the Season campaign in 2024. I know he played or started every game at the Euros that summer, but he just didn't have the impact. I think he's got 4 goals in 48 England appearances.
He has 4 goals in 47 for England, which is interesting because then you chat to a lot of players and they say in training, like, he's one of the standout, technically best players of anyone. Like, he's so talented.
But
you think he's in danger of even being in the squad?
Definitely. I think Tuchel's quote at the start of the international break kind of suggested that Palmer and Foden would be against each other for a spot in the squad. Obviously, they're quite similar in terms of what they offer. And I think Palmer off the bench yesterday was brilliant. I think his match-winning ability, he's shown it on the big stage a few times. I don't think you can take I don't think you can leave Palmer at home. I think he's played himself into the squad.
Yeah, I agree. He looked good last night when he came on.
Yeah, so I'd also take Eze.
You would?
I would. Unbiased, obviously, as a Palace fan. I love Eze, but I think he could also play off the left a bit. He's kind of competing in that position as well as in the 10. Versatility and match-winning ability. I think he has both of those in abundance. So I would take him.
Taking Eze.
Yes.
And Phil Foden on the home magnet.
Yes. Okay. Again, that doesn't necessarily mean Foden is worse than Eze at football. It's just about what profiles you want to fill in an international squad, and it's difficult. I don't envy Tuchel at all having to do this.
No, it's a good point. I think someone is going to be unhappy with whatever the squad.
100%.
Due to the fact we've got so much competition in places, particularly in that area. Should we do right side next?
Yeah.
So Saka nailed on to go to start. I know there's been a bit of conversation about his club form, but he's just time and time again for England. And I don't think the Arsenal system is necessarily built to maximise him and in terms of what he's good at. He's a super functional player who's so good at facilitating other people. So he's asked to do that a lot for Arsenal for the greater good of the team. But we've seen when he's closer to goal for England, he's a match winner. And every single tournament he's played, and I thought he was our best player at World Cup 2022. He saved us against Switzerland in 2024. He's one of the most spoken about players in the squad, but if Saka is fit, he goes and he starts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Max Dowman, I think, is too soon.
Yeah.
Again, could have a huge future for
A
England.
lot of people are talking about that as the potential wild card, aren't they? But is it? When you think back to when we bought Theo Walcott at 17, then he didn't get minutes. Is it worth saving him for another tournament, or because he's such a talent, isn't he?
Oh, he's absolutely brilliant. But if there's a gap in the squad, I don't see a world where you take Dowman over Foden, for example, when Foden's got more experience and is a lot safer option. So it then goes down to the two people who I think are battling Saka or battling for Saka's backup, which is Madueke and Bowen. On paper, obviously, in the Premier League, Bowen has been really good. I think he's the top scoring Englishman in the Premier League this season. But I just think that doing it in that West Ham system is different than doing it for England. And Bowen is used to playing a lot further forward. He's kind of a last action player, if you will, for West Ham. I think Madueke, if you're up against a defence that's just kind of sat in and you need to break it down, which England will face a lot of in the summer, I think Madueke is a better option. I think he's more of a live wire. I think Bowen is better in the Premier League, but Madueke is better for England.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree. I rate him so highly and was surprised about the reaction from an Arsenal fan base when he was signed, because I really think he's a top player. And you're right, it's about profile options off the bench. If a team is sort of in a low block, you want Madueke going 1-for-1. But, so I would agree with you.
I think also the fact that Palmer can play off the right, and I like Palmer off the right too, means that you don't need to bring 3 right wingers and have Palmer. Yeah. That just feels like overkill to me. So Madueke would go for me, and then reluctantly I would leave Bowen at home. But again, if Bowen makes a squad, I wouldn't be surprised or disappointed.
On the left?
I think the left-hand side is a bit easier. Obviously, Harvey Barnes came off the bench yesterday, but I wouldn't take him personally. I think his club mate Gordon is a better option, has been really good for England under Tuchel. Also, he can play up front, which I think will be really big when it comes to the Harry Kane backups, which we'll get onto in a sec. And Rashford yesterday I thought looked electric at times. And seeing Rashford having that confidence and also just the physical ability to go and take on men over and over and over again. It was like watching the Rashford at old. If you have that version of Rashford for England, it makes us an entirely different team.
Okay, so...
And you can play the 9 as well if you need.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, versatility does count for a lot.
You mentioned versatility a lot in your debate. This seems to be a big factor in some of the players you're picking here.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, 26 players is a lot, but you don't know what can happen in a tournament, and you want to have flexibility to change things around, and you want players who can thrive in different game states. And I think you have a lot of players there who, if we're chasing a game with 10 minutes to go, or we're defending a lead with 10 minutes to go, can be equally as good in both positions.
Okay. So you've got 24, just to clarify. So there's 2 more names you need as strikers. So you're only going to take 2 out-and-out number 9s?
Yes, I am.
Because of what you said with the versatility earlier.
Yeah, I think Gordon will cover that more than...
Obviously, Kane is nailed on.
Yeah, of course.
So important he stays fit, isn't it? I mean, he's on Ballon d'Or levels, Flav, now.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, and he's finally getting the respect that he deserves. And, just an unreal... The goals he's scoring now as well.
The range of goals,
Just unreal. It's he just keeps getting better.
Is this one of the biggest problems for the squad, though? If Harry Kane is injured or can't play every 3 days in that climate...
Big trouble.
What on earth do we do?
Yeah, that is a concern. There was a part of me for a while that actually was happy to just go with Kane as the one specialist striker and bring Gordon, Rashford and Foden, because Foden played as a false 9 in the last break, and have them as backups. But you need someone just to take some minutes off Kane's legs in the group stage. And the competition is really strong amongst that. I think starting with Welbeck, I don't think he'll go. Obviously, he's done really well for Brighton this season, but I personally wouldn't take him. I don't think he offers as much all-round wise as the other ones do. Tony, again, having a good year, being good for England.
A lot of goals in Saudi. 25 and 24 out there.
I mean, it's just not at the standard that you need to going into it, is it?
But there's also, I have seen the argument made that, climate-wise, he's playing every week, super hot climate. We're going to go and play in a very hot climate. He's scoring a bunch of goals out there.
He's played in hot country.
That's just not that.
I'm just saying it.
I wouldn't take him.
Tony's a definite no then.
For me, it's a...
I really like.
He's not even elaborating on that, Flav, is he? Fair enough.
I thought Euro 2024, he was our second best striker that we had available.
Off the bench.
And also the last season in the Prem as well. Let's not forget.
It's brilliant
as well. So that leaves Ollie Watkins and the 2 Dominics, Calvert-Lewin and Solanke. So if my maths is right, you're taking one of them.
Yes.
That's where your head's at.
I wouldn't take Calvert-Lewin. Again, he's had a really good season for Leeds. I was actually really impressed when they played Palace a few weeks ago with how hard he worked. I think with his injury record, I wouldn't have blamed him for being a penalty box striker who wasn't tasked with much pressing, but he ran his socks off in that game. But again, I just don't think he's as good overall as Solanke and Watkins are. So I would leave him there.
So it's down between Dominic Solanke and Watkins.
I feel sorry for Watkins because he didn't even make the 35-man squad for this break.
That's a worry, isn't it?
Yeah, I just... If you're not making that squad and you're fit, and it's not really been explained why he was left out of that squad, there was no kind of clear, here's why he's still in the thinking, etc. Because I like Watkins, and I think he's a really good Kane backup, but I think the main role of this role in the squad is not to offer something different to Kane, because if we want a runner in behind, as we said, we've got Gordon and Rashford who can stretch defences. I think Gordon playing up front for Newcastle is really good for England because it means that we don't have to worry about that profile as much at international level. So I would go with Solanke. I thought Solanke was good last night. I think he's a very well-rounded striker. I think he works really hard. I've always liked Solanke. I know he's not had a very rhythmic season with injuries and whatnot.
He's been injured, to be fair.
Only 12 appearances this season.
I know. I don't think anyone, for me, is making that claim to be Harry Kane's backup that strongly. I know that Welbeck and Calvert-Lewin are having good seasons, but it's a similar category to Bowen of like scoring a lot of goals for a team kind of in that part of the table. I don't think means necessarily it will translate at international level. So I would take Solanke.
Okay.
But I would happily take Watkins too. Yeah. I really like Watkins.
I know what you mean. If you ask a lot of England fans, this is a debate, isn't it?
Yeah.
Who is the next best after Kane?
And realistically...
Stick Solanke down then. Realistically, go on.
Realistically, this person is probably not going to be playing that much.
Flav, that is Ollie's thoughts. That's his 26. What changes would you make?
I would have actually taken Calvert-Lewin. And I was just thinking about having to play against low blocks and having a player that likes to get on the end, a physical presence, different style to Solanke. I think he would have actually been quite useful. But by and large, apart from Trent omission, I would go with that.
OK.
OK, so there we go. We can see Ollie's 26-man squad to win England the World Cup.
Come on,
as
England.
things currently stand. Let us know what you think of that at home.